Adam Southend guy. This is just a live off the cuff. I've just literally nearly forgot about this, to be honest. Obviously got back from Whitby and York on Wednesday, and I worked Thursday, Friday, and okay, so I've got Telegram going off at the moment, and trying to have a 3-way conversation. How do I get chat up? I think it's that. Is it that one? So I live chat, all messages are visible. Well, I hope that's it. Last time I've done this, apparently there were questions coming up, but I wasn't seeing them. So hopefully, if anyone does have any questions, again, just fire them at me. To those who are asking questions before, I do apologise. As I said, they weren't come for some reason, weren't coming up, but then I did see them afterwards, which was a bit by the by. So yeah, I'm back in Southend. Trip back was uneventful. Yeah, the Honda's great. A little bit hard on the backside after about 2 hours, but otherwise, yeah, very done what I asked it to, and yeah, it literally. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the geography from North East down to Essex, but I filled up. I filled up the Honda in Whitby, and I didn't need to fill it up again until I reached Chelmsford. So that sort of tells you how decent the tank range is, and I wasn't hanging about either. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. So yeah, I'm well chuffed with it. I've got to do. Having said that, it does now need some odds and sods, which I knew when I bought it. One being the back tyre is changing, that's now on its limit. And I'm probably looking at Conti Attacks. They seem to be the one to go for. And it will need a valve check, which, as I understand, is not a cheap job, because it's just come up to 16,000 miles. The Triumph's hit 55,000, and after running around virtually exclusively on the Honda for 2 weeks, I've realised that the clutch on the Thunderbird needs attention, because it bites really, the biting point's really low, and I've never really noticed it until I've got back on it. That, and it feels tiny. The Triumph just feels minuscule now, and that's a weird thing, because all the years I've ridden the Triumph, and you know, it just felt yeah, not too big, not too small. But when you jump off it, you realise that when you jump off an adventure bike and then you get on to something of the Thunderbird size, you know, and I mean, the Thunderbird's not a small bike in its own right, but when you jump from a adventure bike to like the Thunderbird, you know, bikes that size, it just feels tiny. Give me a second, I'm just going to put the fan on, because although the temperature's dropped, it's the ventilation in this place is rubbish. So if you hear a slight buzzing, that's just me fan going. Yeah, the ventilation I've got in this place is rubbish. It's those old school. Hello, Paul. Great, I'm getting messages. I didn't seem to get these last time, and I think I've sussed it now. So, yeah, anyone wants to give us a shout out? Got any questions, any queries? Now I'm going to just quickly check what my content is this week, because something else finally caught you. Yes, you did, mate. Yeah, this was, as I say, this was just last second, because I almost forgot about doing the live. Sorry, doing the vlog tonight. I was supposed to see my stepdad, but he's out of council, so it kind of threw me a little bit. And Paul was just coming, as you know, so as a personal friend, and we was down a park today, part of the Standing in the Park thing, which is nationwide. If you want to get involved, just look it up online, and it should be one local to anyone that's interested in that. The Stand in the Park is just for people, like-minded individuals. I'm going to have to silence this, because Lorraine's electric. So my Telegram's going mental as well at the minute, and I can't deal with. I can't deal with that at the moment, so I'm just going to have to mute it. Yeah, mute for 1 hour. That sounds good. Yeah, I was just going to say I was going to go. Yeah, 2 minutes, because I've just got to check what my content is. Now, what happened? Obviously, planning to get away for the week. Sort of took my focus away from the channel a little bit, and I didn't realise, but the content was actually run out this week. I had stuff on my computer which was still to be edited, but I just ain't got round to doing it. So once I got back from Whitby, it was a bit of a mad dash to get the stuff that was on my computer edited and uploaded. And not only that, but I've now got the stuff from Scarborough and Whitby to do, and that includes going through videos of me asleep in both the Scarborough hotels, because they were supposed to have it. There was supposed to be activity in them, so kind of like some of the other the other channels have done when they've stayed over at haunted places and left a camera on night shot overnight just to see if anything occurs. So at the moment, I'm having to watch about 7 hours of me sleeping, which would be scary for most people, let alone myself. So yeah, I've just got that to deal with at the moment, and plus visiting Scarborough Castle as well. I did a little bit recording around part of the wall there, the sort of wall that faces out to the North Sea, and also there's the ruins of the keep. Now I was getting some really weird stuff in the keep. I was running the ghost tube just to get a feel, and the magnometer was just going unusually high in the keep. Now there is some like metal railings in there, because as I say, it is ruins. You can't physically walk around the keep itself. Yeah, mate. So as I say, once I've got through all that watching me sleep, which is hours, once I've done that, I'm on a downhill coast, and that's part of it. But yeah, the keep, when I went in the keep, as I say, it's ruins. Those of you know Hadley Castle, it was a bit like that, partly fallen away. So you couldn't walk around the keep itself. There's like a wooden platform, as it were, which is obviously fenced off for your safety and all that. And there's also in like the centre, there's like a little plinth, and on that plinth there's like a little plastic, there's like this little box which I think had a Wi-Fi sign, a little Bluetooth, something like it's Wi-Fi, I think. And what you could do when you come in, when you pay to go in the place, you can pay a bit extra money and get one of these little audio box things. And as you walk around the castle grounds, there's these little prints, and you sort of tap the and you sort of tap these little plastic boxes, and you get the audio come up of whatever was there. So anyway, I'm standing with my phone and the Ghost Tube app, because the Ghost Tube app uses the phone sensors, like the proximity, those like proximity sensor and and the magnometer and all that. When I say the magnometer was reading abnormally high, so I'm trying to debunk it by checking it wasn't a railing or this machine. So obviously I've moved right up to the railing with the phone. Same with the little Wi-Fi gadget thing on the plinth. The magnometer didn't move. Now, if it was those giving off the fields, the closer you get to it, the stronger the field will become. And it weren't changing, but it was abnormally high, and it was like that all the way around the platform. Anyway, I couldn't really record much because it's an open ground. And obviously there's other tourists and visitors coming in, so it's kind of hard to have a quiet moment to do a bit of recording. So eventually I come away and I walk around the rest of the ground, and I thought, well, I'll come back. When I come back, whatever was there had gone. So whatever has caused my magnometer to read high, it had gone back to normal again. So something was there, and there was a few words being spat out as well. So I don't know. Anyway, Skull, everybody. This is, I'm going to show them this plug. This is Lindisfarne Mead. They actually bought in the souvenir shop for Whitby Abbey, which unfortunately was closed by the time I got there. But there was different flavours. That dark one is absolutely beautiful. Never tried that yet. What, the mead pole or the ghost tube? Because this is absolutely gorgeous. That's the dark one. I found another shop that done several different flavours. Was it in a shop? I can't remember. There was a shop there that's... No, it was a shop, sorry. I do tell a lie. Yeah, they made... yeah, there was a shop in Whitby. I'm sure that's where I got this from. Or it was... When I go back, I will go to both places. No, it was definitely the shop because the... Sorry, it was definitely the shop in Whitby and not the souvenir place because they only had the large bottles. I remember now. But yeah, they had Lindisfarne Mead. Dark. That's beautiful. So good on the palate. And a normal one. But obviously a lot more money than the Standard Meadow stuff that I buy from Morrison's. But this tastes so much smoother. I just wish the problem with taking the bike is I've got to think about what I'm bringing back, you know, so I'm limited for luggage space. But I swear if I'd have had the room, I'd have bought a few bottles. So anyway, Skull, everybody. Yeah, it's a good out, as I've explained before. The team that did the team that did the Hellfire Cave that I sort of joined in with, the guy there reckoned he debunked the app. And admittedly, and I'm the first one to admit it, when you do use it, you can get a lot of, you can get random words being spat out, same sort of phrases all the time. But then you kind of know when something's latched onto it because you get the same phrase repeating itself. Now, hopefully, most of you will have watched. If not, I'd implore you to go back and watch them. But my return to Canterbury for the Bomber. Hopefully, you'll have all have watched this now. But you see the case in point, what I'm talking about. The app kept spitting out, "I want to," and then "fly," which are two separate phrases in the dictionary. For the ghost tube. I want to fly. Kept saying those things over and over again. And when I went to, I've noticed on the SLS app, yeah, it's basically the SLS thing. It anything person shaped, you know, a teddy bear. Hi Tracy, good to see you, love. Yeah, the SLS app. Yeah, anything that's remotely person shaped, it turns into a stick figure. So on that side of it, you can kind of, but I mean, a genuine SLS camera costs hundreds if you include the tablet. Whereas the apps, whatever it is, £12 a year, you know, and it's relying on the phone's camera. So you're not going to get the same level as if you do with a genuine SLS. And hopefully when, very well, Tracy. Been a busy boy, as I say. Yeah, just catching up on stuff that I sort of put to a side for having a few days off. Oh, looks like Lisa's. I'll get on to what we're going to do this week. But first of all, content-wise, Paul, Paul, you're probably saying that Lisa's just popped up. Someone in our, is it sort of involved in us down the park group. Lisa's one of them as a medium is expressing interest in coming out with me for a ghost lunch. One of a couple. I've started ghost hunting, done a few. Cat balls going off on KT Spike. Indy, brilliant. What were the sites, if I can ask? Be interesting to know where you got your activity. Yeah, as I say, I'm just going to London. I've got to do London. I've now because I've got the Honda, I can get access to sort of inner London, but that would take some plan. Borley Rectory, yeah, Borley's great. However, all I will say about Borley is you have to act with a lot of discretion around the church, because the residents ain't too keen on ghost hunters, which. Oh no, the rectory isn't, but the church is, and the church has a lot of activity. And I picked up one of the clearest EVPs I've ever heard up there, just a pile of bricks. I've not even seen that, to be honest. And I think unless you're like a TV crew or something like that, it'd be hard pressed to get access. That's my thought anyway. Where was I? Sorry, I spent. Oh really? We picked up bits and pieces in there. I got an extremely clear EVP in that place. One floating brick. Yeah, we had a floating rick there. Either that he was sitting down, I can't remember, sorry. Right, hang on. I'm trying to get access. The Nokia XR20 I bought has got some annoying features about it, that's all I'm saying. Right, I'm just going to let you know what the content is this week. So, Wednesday, this Wednesday coming, is the return to mate. I found one. I found the lane. Yeah. The just to let you know the content that's coming up this week. Hang on, Paul. The content that's coming up this week is a return to St Mary's Church, the one that the Doodlebug hit near Pluckley. Now, it was interesting on the night that we didn't get much in the way of equipment. Well, we didn't really get any equipment set off. But when I've done the edit, I picked up some really interesting EVPs. One of them, while I left the camera, I had to go and answer the call of Night Jaw. So I left the camera running, and you could hear Tracy and Ricky plotting against me, saying like, the spirits are there to go and trip me up. And I picked up an EVP saying can't. So that was quite funny. But yeah, those are the kind of things I pick up. Remember a photo years ago, the brick float? No, I think it's the same place, Paul. Yeah, there was. Yeah, I'm sure Borley Rectory was where that happened. That place was seething, but it burnt down. What's 80 years ago now? 85 years ago, something like that. Crazy, but say. We seen it. I picked up activity at the church, and I had a really clear EVP come through at that place. Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, whereabouts in London are you? Obviously, I've done a little bit in Putney, I'm probably going to do that again at some point. I can't even remember what I was looking for. Kilburn. Okay. Yeah. Hit me up. Yeah. Let me know anything's going, anything in the Kilburn area. Evening all. Hello, Steve. Good to hear you from mate. Yeah, Surrey's another place I did have a brief look at. There's some sites there I want to visit. Yeah, it's just getting all into order. As I say, when I come back, it was I sort of looked at my upcoming content and there weren't any. I'd actually run out, so I've had an urgent dash to finish some edits. The Ashford one being the first one. What was the other one? Oh, bugger. Oh, Read Out Fault, that was it. Went back to Read Out Fault because it dried out and was able to access the front, but we'll go back to that one. So yeah, I'm just going through the material that I got from Scarborough and Whitby, which is me having a lot of it was me sleeping because the two hotels that I stayed at Scarborough are both allegedly haunted. Although to be fair, the first one, the Grand, which was the first one, I think the activity is in the basement because when I booked up, I was a bit disappointed. I was disappointed from the perspective of a paranormal investigator, but not so much if I was just as a normal guest, because I literally booked the cheapest room in the Grand, or what the cheapest was available, and it said the room didn't even have a window. So when I got there, I thought, I'm going to be down the basement, and that's where the activity is supposed to be, because that's where all the servants were before it was a hotel. And when I got there and I checked in, and they gave me a key, and it was literally, if you look on my I think I posted a picture up on my Instagram. The room I actually stayed in was up in one of the turrets. I could not be further away from the entrance if I tried. You had to go up one. You had to go up one lift, walk along the corridor, get in another lift, go up another floor, and then once you got there, you had to walk along another corridor and then up another set of steps. Literally, yeah. As I say, there's like two turrets on one end, and I was in one of them. So although it was good from the point of view of getting light and having windows open, so I got fresh air, I was about as far away as you could get from the area that's supposed to have activity. Anyway, I left the camera on record overnight. I'm just going through that right now, which is going to take a while because it's literally hours of watching me sleeping, so hopefully I won't fall asleep. And then on the second night, I stayed. Oh, crumbs, where did I stay in the second one? Someone's a really nice little hotel, actually. It was a little bit further away. The Rivaling, that was it. So I stayed in the Grand on the Saturday night, and then the Rivaling on the Sunday. And the Rivaling, I really liked. It's a lovely little hotel. And I've just got to go. So I've got to go through the footage on that one as well, because the reason I booked them two up was because of what I'd read online about stuff that had gone on. So yeah, as I say, I'm just going to go through the overnight stuff and see if it actually happened. What I initially wanted to do was get 4 nights in Whitby. That was plan A, because I faffed about a bit and I left the booking a bit late, trying to get bookings in Whitby itself, or rather the two hotels that are online has been properly haunted, which is Backshot, I think, and Arundel. They're the two. Well, one's a hotel, one's a guest house, I think. But they're the two main places in Whitby that have got activity. But they were fully booked for all the nights. So this is part of the reason why I visited Scarborough. So I'm like, okay, what's near to Scarborough? What's near to Whitby that I could possibly stop in that would have any activity? And of course, these two places in Scarborough come up, so that's why I booked them up and then went to Whitby. On the second day, third day, whatever. The place I eventually stayed in Whitby was a guest house called the Waverley, and it's lovely. It's a really nice couple to run it. I'd recommend it. It's just just had a nice feeling there, and that's why I stopped for 2 nights in Whitby. Whilst in Whitby, obviously, had the fish and chips, which I've got to say superb. What I do say, watch the poxy seagulls, because they're buggers. It's weird because living in Southend, obviously being used to seagulls, but not on. There seem to be about 3 or 4 times the amount of seagulls in Whitby that there is here. And not only that, but if you turn your head, they'll have your bloody fish and chips. And there's signs up everywhere saying don't feed the seagulls. Maybe we should get them down here as well, in case anyone gets any funny ideas. But yeah, so Whitby fish and chips were great. Actually, Scarborough, I've had one of the best saveloy sausage and batter and chips I've ever had there. And the weird thing about both areas was that around here, a lot of Essex really, probably Kent and all the rest. You've got lots of fried chicken shops, pizza places, Chinese, Indian, blah blah blah. There's so many different kinds of takeaways around here. It's unreal. When you go up there, you had the odd 1 or 2. Oh, there was all sorts of seagulls. I've actually got a board up, and it tells you all the different seagulls. And they're all, as far as I'm concerned, they're all bastards. Excuse my French. I don't know what the one that's attacked. The one that attacked me, I couldn't tell you what it was because it came up from behind. All I just felt was a massive poxy thing go for my takeaway, and then it just sort of hit my shoulder and then flew off. Fortunately, didn't get me any food. Yeah, they're bastards. Excuse my French again. Well, even worse than swans, and I've had run-ins with swans. Little sods. But yeah, it just literally flew in. Fortunately, didn't grab my fish. Hit my shoulder and flew off. But yeah, you have, maybe that's why they call it Whitby, because you got to have your wits about you. And it buggered off. But yeah, as I was saying, going back, virtually all the fast food places up that neck of the woods are fish and chip shops. I'll come across, I think one pizza place in both places. Now, obviously, they're smaller towns than what Southend is, even though they're well known seaside resorts. But yeah, there was like one pizza place in both of, per town, and probably 1 or 2 Indians and 1 or 2 Chinese. That was it. I don't think I could even see a chicken shop. Everything was just fish and chips. But as I say, if anyone wants to go out there, I thoroughly recommend it because it's all done really nice. The chips are nice, big chunky things, and ask for scraps as well, because you don't get them down here. Scraps just sort of bits of batter that are sort of left over, but yeah, they go really well. As I say, we don't get them down this neck of the woods, despite the fact Southend's got some great fish and chip emporiums, as we say. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, food aside, went to visit. Now, the other famous thing about Whitby is Dracula. Bram Stoker got much of his inspiration for Dracula from Whitby, and there's actually a place there which is dedicated to Dracula. It's like a £5 entrance fee, I think, and you walk around and there's all history and all that, and things jump out at you. I'll let you know now if you want to go. One popped out from the morning, thumped it. and something come out from the ceiling. It was like a zombie or something. Just went bah, and oh, okay. Yeah, Whitby Graveyard, St Mary's Church. Yes, I've been there. I went there both nights. The other, um, like obviously once I've gone past, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Whitby Abbey in particular. Actually, I've got a new thing. Places I visit, I buy mugs from. So that's actually quite like that. But oh, comes a still coughing there. But yeah, that's Whitby Abbey. Obviously, you'll see it properly. I think I posted 1 or 2 pictures on my Instagram with it, but I have got I have got drone footage. Now I had to be careful because with English heritage, you can't fly drones near to the buildings because obviously they are fragile. You know, so something strikes them in the wrong place, you're going to cause more damage. Yes, he did. Yeah. The vampires he spoke about weren't vampires in the traditional sense and taking blood, but but they do take your energy and so on. So there are vampires do exist, but not in the sense that that we know, as in the Dracula films and Blade and zombies are nasty. Yeah, particularly if one pops out of the bloody ceiling. Um, that was quite funny because, as I say, I don't scare easily. It's sort of, oh, okay, you know. Um, yeah, that's right, Paul. Yeah, in the narrative sense, that yep, psychic vampires. I think a couple of ladies that I were involved in were kind of emotional vampires because they blooming suck me dry. I'll tell you that much. No, they're not. No, but as I say, they are real in the sense that you can get things that will drain you of energy, of emotion, and that's real life, and I've had it, you know. I've been involved with 1 or 2 people, and I think Paul will vouch for that as well, where there's certain people, or crazy people, or whatever you, who will suck the energy out of you, you know, um, who will take the energy from you, and they've had their stuff. I guess. I hope we're talking about the same thing here, Neil. Um, yeah, yeah. The other side, that's great, but what I'm talking about is, yeah, just exactly. Yeah, you're just right. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, Paul. There's energy vampires, there's emotional vampires who just suck literally suck the life out of you. And I think many of us have probably come across them types in the past. I know I have. Um, and it's nearly sent me down some dark paths at times. Fortunately, I just sort of it don't matter with the blood related with the blood or not. It's kind of, no pun intended, but anyone like that just get away. Um, oh, thanks, Neil. Bless you. Yeah, God bless you, mate. Um, yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, just get just going off pace there with precisely, Steve. Yeah. Um, if you ever get the sense that whoever you're getting involved with at the point, just back off, because otherwise you'll go down a horrible path. Um, but yeah, just going back to Whitby. Yeah, this, as I say, when I was in this Dracula montage history thing, And the property was actually a meeting point for sea captains because obviously Whitby was a busy port, and they sort of meet up. It's the home of Captain Cook, and even Blythe's got is written about there. For what I'd say was a pretty small town. I mean, certainly in comparison to Southend, and Southend's probably about twice the size, but it's so rich in history and the area. If anyone's read any Terry Pratchett or even remembers playing the games on the computers years ago, it's like walking around Discworld. It just had that feeling, you know. Um, but yeah, as I say, on the last bit of the Dracula tour thing, Breakwind. Ah, Breakwind. There you are. The last bit of that vampire thing, the Dracula, you end up in like a little tiny cinema room where there's like a brief history. You know, of the Dracula story and how Bram Stoker got his inspirations. And as we're sitting there watching it, we just heard this massive scream. good old fuck. Oh, yes, Breakwind. You can download it actually because it's the Discworld 2 actually. Obviously, there was a first Discworld, but there were Discworld games for your PC, and I remember them coming out in the mid-90s, so about 25 years old. But you should be able to download them if you want to, and you should be able to play them through an old emulator. And I think Eric Idle done many of the voiceovers for the Discworld games, but they're great fun to play. That's it. Yeah, it was Eric Idle. I thought so. King Flats, yes. Yeah, they're just they're great fun to play in games. But yeah, imagine that I can always remember the Grim Reaper standing there waiting to get someone, and this fly just whizzing in out of his head. It was just, yeah, a funny thing. But if you can imagine how the Rinceworld, the Discworld game and the pictures, yeah, Whitby's very much like that. It's very hilly, and you've got little alleys, and it's just a lovely town. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I bet you're going to go back and play them now. But yes, very much how Whitby is. And it's just great to see that it's, you know, it's all been left alone. And all the shops up there, loads of little independent shops. I didn't see anything boarded up. There was rarely any charity shops or phone shops. Anything that we're used to down here. There was none of that. And it was just so refreshing. And it was also nice to have not so much of a League of Nations population, shall we say. I ain't got a problem with that, really, but yeah, it was just a totally different feel. And going out on a boat as well, that was brilliant. As I say, I can't express enough. Go out there and check the place out yourself. It's a beautiful area. Hope, and also anyone that likes a little steam engine ride, best off checking because they were running Heritage diesels this time. When I was up that way in 2019, it was York primarily. The North Yorkshire Moors Railway, that's it, got it. We were running predominantly steam services up and down that line. It goes through Gowthland, where Heartbeat was filmed, and that's the station for the first Harry Potter film. When I was up there this time, I did want to go back on the train again, but when you looked at the roster for the trains, they were only running Heritage diesels. I quite like Heritage diesels, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing like the experience of a steam engine. So if you want to go up, just have a look on the
the North Yorkshire Moors Railway webpage. Hopefully, it give you an idea when the next steam engines are riding out. Incidentally, those of you like your trains, Paul, I know you drive trains, but this is so you might actually like this. But when I went up to York in 2017, I visited the National Railway Museum, and I was actually something I wanted to do since I was a kid was get step on the footplate, the Mallard, which is the steam engine that holds the world speed record for steam engines. And at the time, one of Mallard's sister trains, the Pacific class, was a Sir Nigel Gresley. And Sir Nigel Gresley was the guy that designed these Pacific locomotives. And they're really a work of art to look at, you know. And the bodywork encasement was designed for, you know, for slipstream, which when you're going back to the mid 30s was they were you know advanced, you know, for the time anyway. But at the time I visited York Railway Museum in 2017, the Sir Nigel Gresley was actually, you could go over the walkway. Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. As I say, it's the man that holds the record. So that was, for me, it was great to see it and get on the footplate. But yeah, I know what you mean. There's like a gangway over the top of the workshop. Oh, did he? Oh, wow. Actually, I can give you a quick little. I'm going to go off piste a little bit. But the property I live in now, the two brothers that initially built it, the property I'm in goes back to the turn of the 20th century. So we're talking late 1800s, you know, 1898, 1900s. We're talking that period. But the two brothers, and incidentally, the spirits are still here, funny enough, because we see them float around every now and again, orbs anyway. They were coal merchants, and they actually supplied coal to the LNER, which is where the Mallard operated. So that was quite an interesting connection. But I'll say, just going back to the Sir Nigel Gresley, they were in the process of restoring the Sir Nigel Gresley, and it was mad like walking over the gangplank. I kind of felt that scene in Jurassic Park where the cable car thing is going past the live laboratory where where the new dinosaurs are being born, you know, coming out their eggs. So it wouldn't want to be that, you know, just to see the magic happening. Well, anyway, the Sir Nigel Gresley has now been fully restored, and they are actually operating it in October. And it should tell you on that website. I think it's like mid-October, something like that. So I'd like to try and get out there for that. I'll have to have a look and see how the finances and all the rest of it like. But yeah, that was interesting. But it's like just at the moment, North Yorkshire Moors Railway, they're not operating steam engines, it's all heritage diesel. So if you want to go up there and you want to do the steam line, maybe check out the website and see when it become available again. But yeah, I've done we're going back to paranormal stuff. I didn't actually get access to the Abbey itself, although I think I know what I can get in now, because I didn't realise it was it's now English heritage, so it has obviously opening and closing times. So I didn't really get a chance to get in there, but I'm going to go out there again without a shadow of a doubt. I'll bet it was, yeah. I don't think you could ever match a job like that again. You know, I mean, I think we all do one or two jobs in our lives that are just unforgettable. You know, I mean, I'm in a privileged position now where both the jobs that I do outside of that are doing this are just great. Whilst individually they don't pay, they're not great in the pay aspects, but combined they work really well together. So both, the money I get from both jobs gives me a reasonable standard. It could be better. I mean, who couldn't? But right now I'm in a privileged position that both jobs I do, I really love, and I think we've all been there. We've all done those one or two jobs which we really, really loved. So yeah, I totally get your stepdad. Obviously, he's, if he had his time again, he'd never ever be able to do that because what's going on now?